5. Charlotte?
Yep, got it.
Okay. All right, our normal agenda items, reviewing the meeting minutes, going over the monthly vouchers and the financial report, going over the director's report, and any last minute topics that did not make it on the agenda. I have some, just some information from the Friends meeting that I went to last Thursday. Did anybody notice they got an email from the Friends this afternoon?
Yes.
Yeah.
You
I
did?
did,
Okay.
yep.
Because I asked Alice if we automatically got an email, you know, if we're on their mailing list, basically. And she wasn't sure, actually. So I wanted to see if we're all getting those emails, because most of the update I have is already in that email. So but there's a couple things that I can talk about when the time comes. All right. Anything that we need to add to the agenda or modify? Okay, meeting minutes. Does anybody have any feedback for Charlotte? Pretty quick meeting last month. Sort of, I guess.
Great minutes.
Yeah,
Yes.
nothing? Does someone want to make a motion on the minutes?
I move we accept, Maureen, I move we accept the minutes from March 2026.
March 9th? Yeah, March 9th. Okay. Do I have a second?
I second Alicia.
Alicia?
Yep.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. Let's vote. Lauren,
Aye.
Maureen,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
Alicia,
Aye.
Charlotte,
Aye.
and I am an aye. That was quick. The monthly vouchers. Matthew sent those a couple of days ago. Does anybody have any questions for Matthew? Or Matthew, do you have anything you want to tell us about the vouchers? No?
It's muted.
I'm assuming Matthew's there. He just doesn't have his camera on. Let's hope so. Okay. Does someone want to make a motion on the vouchers?
I move to accept the vouchers for April.
Thank you. A second?
Second, Lauren.
Sorry.
Thank you, Lauren.
Is that you, Lori?
Yeah, sorry.
All right.
Doesn't sound good.
Okay, any other discussion on the vouchers? Okay, let's vote. Charlotte,
Aye.
Alicia,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
Maureen,
Aye.
Lauren,
Aye.
and I am an aye. All right, that's the minutes and the vouchers. Now we've got the financial report. Hopefully Matthew's there. Matthew? Ah, there we go.
Hey.
Hello.
Yeah, financial report, a lot of materials expense this month, and we've got a good chunk of materials to expend before we hit the end of the fiscal year. So the next couple months, you'll see a lot of materials. Expense account is getting low. We probably have about one more month left on the expense account, and then we finish the fiscal year with municipal equality grants, state aid funds, and we have quite a good balance in the revolving account, so we'll start spending some of that on materials as well.
That's $4,000 in the revolving. Is that right?
Yes.
Am I reading that right? Okay.
Yes.
While you mentioned the revolving, I'm curious. I saw that on the warrant for the town meeting that the town library revolving is $10,000. Is that the same? An increase?
That's an increase. So for many, many
Okay.
years, our income limit on that fund has been 6,000. And this
Okay.
year, because of the increased revenue from passport photos, we are going to we're going to exceed it this year.
Right.
We've if you look at not the balance, but the amount that we've the amount of income has been 4,800 so far this year, and we've been taking in around 500 a month. So I'm not sure exactly what I want to do about that for this fiscal year, because it's going to be close. It's going to be just a couple $100 over. There is a little, if you happen to look at the revolving fund authorization article on the town meeting warrant, there is a little carve out where the select board and the FinCom can jointly approve a department going over their revolving fund limit. I don't know if I want to go through that whole process for a couple $100. I may reach out to Kenny Costa, who's the finance director, and see if he has a suggestion. We could do a couple things. We could just put the last month worth of photo revenue into the general fund, be a couple $100 that we'd put into the general fund instead of the revolving account. The other thing I could do, and I'm sure Kenny won't be thrilled about this option, but if I do like save some of the June deposit and do it the second week in July, then that technically is credited to the next fiscal year, and no one really tracks exactly what day you had the income on.
Right.
So we'll see. I may wait. I may wait one more month and see, if we have a low month, maybe we can squeak by under 6,000. So we basically have $1,200 left on our limit, and we've got to get through April, May, and June. So if it's $400 a month, we're okay. If it's $500 a month, we'll be over.
Right. Okay.
But that's
we're-
why we increased. I asked the town manager to increase that article to 10,000, so we won't have this problem next year.
Okay. And we may have to explain at the town meeting that that's not an increase in money from the town. That people don't understand what a revolving fund is, right? So
Yeah, it's
hopefully
actually,
that won't happen.
if you're looking at the tax rate, like the higher the revolving fund, the better, because that's non-tax income that's paying our expenses.
Right.
I mean, ultimately,
Yeah.
it's fees and things, so it does. Well, actually, passport photos we get a lot of out of town money, so it's really helping the Upton taxpayers.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Anything else? Any questions for Matthew on the financial report?
Matthew, do you anticipate you're going to have to get up at town meeting and explain that?
No, I don't think anyone really pays that much attention to the revolving fund articles. They're usually always on that consent calendar thing we do now, where they just, they pick the 5 or 6 articles and don't even discuss them. So if someone's really paying attention and they compare to last year and they say, why did the library
Right.
revolving fund go up, then they could ask a question. But I doubt anyone is paying that much attention to revolving fund expenditure limits.
Yeah. But if they did, you'd be there to defend it, not us, right?
Yes, for sure. And it's like Debbie kind of alluded to, it's an easy justification, it's additional income that's coming to the town
Right.
that reduces your tax burden. So it shouldn't be, it might be
Right.
confusing, but it should not be controversial.
Right.
Okay.
When Recreation Commission was looking to add, increase the number, it was a bigger number. So, it was like, well, why are you doing that? And of course, it's good news because we're bringing in, more money. So, yeah, it's easy to explain. Okay. Anything else for Matthew on the financial report? Someone want to make a motion on the financial report?
I move to accept the financial report for March 2026. That's Maureen.
Thank you. Do I
I
have a second?
second Alicia.
Thank you. Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, let's vote. Lauren,
Aye.
Maureen,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
Alicia,
Aye.
Charlotte,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Unanimous. Director's report.
All right. As always, I'll mention a couple things that I wanted to highlight and then pause for any trustee questions. Just usual general trends in circulation are pretty the same as we've been seeing the last couple months. We did happen to set a new record for overdrive e-audio books. I think that's just, we have a general trend of all those electronic services going up, and we happen to set a new record this month. We didn't do anything special to cause that, I don't think. We also set a new record for number of study room reservations, and we'll talk about that later on in the report. The number of average visits went up, which up by 8 compared to February, which is nice to see. That's a number I think is really important, because that's how many people are walking in the door and using our services. Programs, not a lot of change. Most of the children's programs are filling. Most of the adult and teen programs are getting some attendance, but not filling. Let's see if there's anything I wanted to highlight on there. No, that's about all I had. So I will, if anyone has questions on the numbers or statistics before we go into the narrative.
I have a question about the preschool outreach and the resource fair outreach. What was that? What are those?
So those are things mostly Leanne does that where she goes off site. Either she gets invited somewhere or takes the initiative and find them out. So there's a couple preschools in town, and Leanne tries to go to each of them about twice a year and just bring a story and talk to the kids about libraries. So she does the United Parish preschool. She does, there's a couple of them. I don't know. Oh, Little Saints, I think is. Wait, and the Little Saints is the United Parish one, right? No, those are two different ones.
No.
I'm trying to remember the
Yeah.
name she tells me. So those
And there's
two,
that
and then
new one too.
yeah, I think
Itsy
she reached
Bitsy.
out to
Post
the new
office.
one.
Itsy Bitsy. She went to Itsy Bitsy.
Okay, yeah, I
Yeah.
knew there was another one that she had reached out to, and then usually there'll be at least one or two kids that go, "I know you from story time." It's pretty fun. Every once in a while, if Leanne's schedule doesn't allow, I go do one of the ones at United Parish, and it's kind of fun. And then the resource fair was with the school district. I think this one was Nipmuc, but Misco also does one that this one was more for talking to teachers about what services are available. Some of them are for students, but this was a fair that the school set up for the vendors and services to come talk to teachers. So that 40 number is what I told her to do for statistics. Is just anyone she had like a substantive conversation with counted, not just anyone that walked past the booth, but anyone that stopped and took a pamphlet or something. So that's what
Okay.
those two are.
And the maple sugaring, was that an adult program?
No, that was for kids.
Kids?
Did I not put? No, I guess I didn't put an age. I think that was like a 3 to 12 or a 5 to 12. That was
Okay.
at it was at West Hill Dam, and one of the park rangers set up the program for it, and Leanne did the organization and registrations and stuff.
That's nice.
I just want to let you know how
19 kids or
good that
people?
was. Sorry. I went
You-
with my kids, and it was really good. I just wanted to let you know.
Oh, good. I think that park ranger who's done a number of programs for us, I think she's retiring, so we're hoping whoever replaces her is also willing to do some of the kids programs with us.
And are we gonna have a drum circle continue, is the drum circle going to continue? Because I know that the Friends are no longer paying for it.
Yeah, so at this point, starting in May, actually, one of the vouchers you signed
Okay.
is paying for the May drum circle. So I'm just going to take that over within the library budget using either program funds or some of the revolving fund if I need to. But I think that's a valuable program. It's one of the few adult music things that we offer.
Yeah.
And it brings in a very different group of people to the community center. So I'm going to continue that within the library budget for as long as I can.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for him about the numbers?
How much is that a month, the drum circle?
It's $125 per month.
So is it free to attendance or do they pay?
Yes.
Okay. Because there was a time when they paid, I believe, right? Before they started doing it with us.
Yes, and when he first moved here, that was the program that we had that fairly lengthy discussion about, do we want to start charging for library programs and how would that work, and could it be a donation to the Friends, and how aggressively do we want to solicit the donations and things like that. So that was the program that we were just about ready. I think we maybe had voted to say, as a trial run, we'll see what happens if we charge admission, and then ultimately the Friends were able to step up and make that program free to the participants. And I'd like to keep it that way if we can, especially with the attendance numbers that high. It's once you open that window to charging for library programs, then it starts to come up a lot more. And I think it's important that library programs be no charge to participants as much as we can.
And that's obviously in the budget for next year.
Yes.
It's part of it, right?
And
Okay.
how long does it last each night that they have it?
It's now, to participants, it starts at 7 and it goes to 9:30. So it's 2.5 hours program length.
It's a lot of drumming. I'm gonna have to
Okay.
open my window in the summertime. I bet I could hear it from my house.
You can hear it in the parking lot for sure.
Probably can hear it at Rushford.
You should go join him, Lori.
I could hear Rushford's from my house, and I can hear the VFW, and I can even hear the Pond concerts with them high up.
Okay. All right, on to the narrative, Matthew.
Okay. Nothing crucial going on with community center. It's basic stuff. This English conversation circle, did I mention that at the last meeting?
No.
Okay. I don't remember if I did or not, but the first session was March 21st. This is a woman who she volunteers to do this at least one other library, and she's an Upton resident, and she called me totally out of the blue and said, "Hey, I do this program for Hopkinton Library. Would you like me to do it in Upton?" And of course I said, absolutely, because we're lacking in any sort of ESL stuff. So she's had a couple, maybe 3 sessions. She started on March 25th, so maybe this was her 3rd session. She's had 2 or 3 people. There was 3 the first time, and I think 2 the last 2 sessions. So she just comes for an hour, and it's just very informal, vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation. So with the low numbers, she's able to really work one-on-one and give them a lot of, individualized attention. And it's, completely free to the library. So I'm very happy she's doing it. And hopefully she'll continue.
And when is it?
It's right now, it's Wednesday, late mornings. It's 11 to 12. We're actually discussing, she's working around her summer schedule, and one of the participants requested a different day. So it might be moving to a different day, but we think it'll probably stay at that 11 to 12 time slot. That's what works for the volunteer. Okay, I lost my
idea.
report there. All right, just a note here about I staff training day. I was starting to plan that, and then I got this email from Tanya at the Department of Elder Services that she's doing a CPR training for her staff. So I'd like to, and she invited library staff to come and attend. So I may attach
Great.
onto that. So the staff training day might end up being the CPR class. I think it was 6 hours maybe when we did it. It's either 6 or 8 hours. It's not first aid. It's just CPR. I'd like to find some first aid because we get a lot of bumps and bruises and I fell off the playground and that sort of thing. But CPR is good too. So I don't know if we'll be able to do both, especially if enough staff sign up or show interest. If we have to close the library for this CPR day, I don't know if I can do both, but we'll see. It's early stages. Tanya might line up the CPR thing, and then maybe we do a half day focus just on library services and procedures. But that's underway.
Do they have a date picked for
No,
the CPR? Not yet.
no. She's figuring out. She's coordinating. So the fire department does the training, so she's trying to figure out numbers of people and then what day, and so it'll be a lot of. I think she's going to have to just pick a day, and whoever can come. But obviously, she's got to make it work for her. Their staff, especially the van drivers and stuff. They really need to know that.
Yeah. Good. Okay.
Strategic plan. So all staff now have engaged in entering the forms. It is taking a bit longer than we thought. So we're up to 378 responses entered, and based on how many more we have to go, we're going to be well over 1,000 by the time we're done. So we're maybe a third of the way entered.
That
But
impacting library services in time, Matthew, doing that? Because I'm just wondering if, a senior volunteer would be helpful to you.
let me think about that. I'll just have to think about if there's any. I don't think there's any confidentiality issues. There's no names on the forms.
Just a thought.
And they essentially, I guess the responses become public knowledge because we're going to discuss them at a public meeting. So yeah, actually that's a good thought. I may reach out and see if there's any tax
Yeah,
work off people. So the answer to your original question is no, it's not impacting library services because we're only doing it when we have nothing else going on.
Yeah.
What it is doing is making it take a really long time to get these things entered. So
Right.
we want this data for our strategic plan. So at some point, I may either have to offer staff additional hours just to work on this and get some of it done, or let me think through it a little more. But I don't think there would be any problem having a senior work-off person do it. So I may email and offer that up. Thank you for that idea, because I don't always think of them. Just going to jot that down.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Or friends or trustees, we could all maybe do a little bit. Or some people who might have time.
Yeah, all it takes is, you have the yellow form and you have your computer screen in front of you and you just enter the data. And, I've just been telling staff to make sure to enter it exactly as it is. So, even if there's comments that have words spelled wrong or, don't do any editing, it just has to be exactly as the raw data is.
Can it
great
be
that
done
there was so much
remotely or do you
interest.
need to do it at the library?
It can be done it's just a Google form. So as long as you have internet access, there's no, knock on wood, we haven't been caught by we haven't had any bot, responses or any unusual things that would show up in the data.
Well, I could help because I'm currently between jobs. So I have time on my hands. So we can talk offline about that if you want.
Okay, yeah, I'll put together a little
Yeah.
email description and I'll send it out to senior tax work off and the trustees, and that would actually be probably very helpful because it's if at the current rate, it's going to take us a while to
Take a
get those
while.
entered.
Right,
12 years.
okay.
All right, and then
Study.
I have
Study
kind of
room.
our substantive discussion item here. So the study room reservations, we have a policy which was approved by the trustees and the select board, which says that you're supposed to be limited to 5 hours per week to use the study rooms. And what we have done up until now is just it's kind of been on the honor system. I've essentially you can reserve these things online. I've left the system open with basically no restrictions, and it's worked out mostly fine. There's the occasional person who'll, ask for 10 hours a week or something. Usually it's, they want 9 to 4 on Friday and Saturday or something like that. But this month, we definitely had a couple people that obviously realized that there were essentially no restrictions, and we started getting, massive amounts of study room reservations for, essentially 9 to 5 days a week, which, obviously then blocks it out for everyone else. So what I did is I quickly just switched the system from automatic approval to manual approval. So that gave me a chance to, look at the whole picture, and I had to email a few people and say, hey, I see you've requested X, Y, and Z. This is your limit. Please let me know what your priorities are. So everyone's been very good about it. No one has, everyone that has emailed has sort of understood and, changed their requests. But I think I do want to do at this point is use some of the automated restrictions in the Assabet software, so it simply doesn't allow them to make these excessive reservations. And I believe we can do this just as a procedural change. We're not actually changing the policy, so we don't have to go through the whole present it to multiple boards kind of thing. This is just a procedural change we're making to our software system. So unfortunately, Assabet we can't do a 5 hours per week reservation restriction. The only things I can restrict are the number of reservations allowed per week and the length of each reservation. So talked it over with Michaela, some of the other staff, and what we're suggesting is the best, we're trying to balance flexibility for the patrons versus staying close to the policy. And what we're going to suggest is 2 reservations per week and up to 3 hours per reservation. So technically someone could get 6 hours. It's a little bit over the policy, but I'm not too worried about that. It gives them some, like, if you said only 1 reservation per week, then there's, a lot of people that might need 2 afternoons or something. If we did more reservations at less time, so I said, you could do 5 reservations per week, an hour per reservation, that would let you get your 5 hours distributed however you want. But the way the scheduling software works is every reservation, you have to fill out the whole form. So if we did limited reservations to an hour and someone wanted 4 hours in one day, to get that 4-hour block, they'd have to fill out 4 different reservation forms. So I feel like 2 reservations per week, 3 hours per reservation. Then if someone wants it basically all day, they only have to fill out the form twice. They can get a 6-hour block. If they want it on 2 different days, that's okay. We do have occasionally someone will say, oh, I want 1 hour every day for a week. So in that case, they have to call us. We could manually override. I could work with someone, but that's rare that someone is going to be happy with 1 hour per block every. So basically what they're hoping is they book it for an hour. They're hoping no one else books it after them, and they can just stay longer.
Just stay. Yeah.
Okay. So and the only other piece is right now you do not need a library card to sign up for a study room, but in order for the system to impose these restrictions, you'll have to put in a library card, because that's how it matches. It says, okay, this library card number has done X, Y, and Z. So that'll be a little bit of a change. If possible, I always prefer to not require a library card, because you never know why. Someone might be visiting for a short period or just dropping in, or homeless, doesn't have a permanent address, has an obstacle to getting a library card. So I only require that if there's a reason that we have to, and this is a reason that we have to.
The reason, yeah.
Matthew, I've seen that some libraries people are using the areas like study groups basically as their business, not address, but running their business and using the library intranet. Do you run into that, and do you think that's a problem?
I'm sure people are doing a little bit. It's not a problem. I mean, that's what I was worried when that person submitted, like, every day 9 to 4. I said, oh gosh, they're trying to run a business. It turns out that's not what it was. He has a it was actually more of an educational use than a for-profit use. But so our policy does say, because we went through this with the when the select board worked with us to approve the policy before the building opened, they did change a line in there. So right now you are not allowed to reserve a study room for a for-profit usage. So that's what the policy says. And that includes paid tutoring. So that was one of our concerns, is that, technically, if you're tutoring someone and you're being paid, you're not allowed to use the study rooms. Now, in practice, we don't verify that in any way. If you go online and sign up for the study room and you click the box that says you're going to apply by the policy, no one on the library staff is looking at what you're doing or asking if you're being paid or, anything like that. If it was obvious, there was one occasion where I saw a tutor post on Facebook, like a commercial ad saying, pay me. And then at the bottom, they said, and we're going to meet at the community center. So there's been a few times I've had to reach out to people if they make it a little too obvious and say, just so you know, the policy that you click on when you reserve the room says X, Y, or Z. But in general, unless, if it was obvious, like if someone was obviously meeting, I wouldn't need to say meeting clients, but if it was obvious they were using it for commercial purposes, then that's when I would, privately talk to them and say, just be aware that this is the policy for use.
I feel like there's a difference between commercial and educational. So I remember when we talked about the tutoring thing, I remember for a few of us, it felt, because it's a really good space for that. And it's educational. It's like what a library does, which is different than meeting clients, I think, in some ways. But I know that's a conversation for another time.
Yeah, for sure. When we proposed the policy, we had 3 exceptions for fees for goods. And one of them was nonprofits doing fundraising, which was left in. One of them was presenters at a program selling their personal work. So like if someone does an author talk, they're allowed to sell copies of their book. And then the trustees draft of the policy had a 3rd exception, which was for educational services. And the select board, when they reviewed it, removed that line. It removed that line.
I have one other question, and that's in regards to people using those rooms and letting their kids run around. Because I've been in there and it's kind of like, I can see that people are not monitoring some of the children, and I don't think it's the library staff, but it's a tricky situation.
It is, and Leanne and I have talked about this a lot. So you'll see, certainly when we do the policy manual revisions, which are coming up, we're going to tighten up we're going to put some.
Yeah, I'm not being critical of you guys
age
at all.
restrictions
I think it's not fair on people's part to just let their kids run loose.
Yeah, so we have our policy is, if your child is under 5, basically we expect you to be with the child at all times. If the child is 5 to 12, that's when we say, well, you can, as long as you're in the building, right? You don't have to be in the same room as your child, but at least you have to be in the building. And then 13 is up is when, technically the child could be in the library unattended. So with what I've told staff to do is basically not intervene until there's a problem, but if there's a child that needs assistance, to not hesitate to interrupt whoever's in this study. Even little, they'll come up and they'll say, "Oh, can I have a tissue? Can I have a pencil? Can I have this?" And at this point, staff is now saying, "Well, we're going to go find your caregiver to deal with that." So it makes it a little.
That's a
We're
good
doing
idea.
a little less babysitting, because if we're constantly saying, "Excuse me, your child needs your assistance with,
Yeah.
blowing their nose or whatever they need to do," we make it a little harder, or, a little less convenient to go in the study room and ignore your child.
Yeah, good. That's good. I was wondering.
Matthew, can somebody be at a computer, not in a study room, as long as they want?
Yes, yeah, I believe currently we have no time restrictions on the computers. And obviously, if the study room's not reserved, if you just want to take your chances and come down, we won't kick you out unless there's someone waiting for their reservation. So a lot of people will do that. They'll sign up for some time and then come down and just hope no one's there, or they'll move out of the study room into the bench areas.
Okay. Any more questions for Matthew on the policy?
Yeah.
Or procedure? What did you call it? A procedure.
Procedure.
Not a policy, a procedure.
Right. So if you're ready to vote, that's why I'm comfortable. I think we can do this as we're not changing the policy. We're just changing how the
Right.
reservation procedure, essentially.
Okay. Does someone want to make a motion on this change in procedure?
I move we adopt this new procedure to the study room reservations.
Second, Maureen.
Okay. And Charlotte, do you need help with explaining it for the vote, or
No.
you're okay?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it's pretty simple. Okay. Any other discussion? All right. Let's take a vote on it. Lauren.
Aye.
Maureen. Lori.
Aye.
Alicia.
Aye.
Charlotte.
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Unanimous vote for the change in procedure.
All right. Thank
Okay.
you for reviewing that and approving it. And a couple other things that are just sort of more informational I tacked on at the end. Great room use. So along with the study rooms, we're also looking at great room use. That is more directly, it's more of a town manager, board of selectmen function. But I did have at least one good conversation with the new town manager, and it seems like this is something that she wants to tackle making adjustments to fairly soon, instead of putting it off, because basically every staff person who deals with this policy has some concerns with how it's currently being done. So that's good. I typed up, actually, today I just finished and emailed off a whole list of recommendations, and she's got town council looking on it and things like that. So my goal, hopefully by the end of this process, it will reduce some of the time burden on mostly myself, but also the town hall staff, how we implement this thing.
What are some of the big issues?
So my biggest I'm actually recommending to her that they not allow private parties anymore. I think almost the private rentals, they take way more time than any of the other events to manage. They have that rental component, which, once you get money involved, then, you're explaining fees to them. And, when someone pays for something, they sort of rightfully have sort of higher expectations. They demand a little more. They get, they're more unhappy about if the temperature is not the way they want it and all these, the things. The custodial piece is kind of a struggle, because, I'm involved in sort of scheduling the events, and then if there needs to be custodial coverage, that has to be arranged by the DPW department because it has to be a DPW employee who actually does the work. So there's just a lot more back and forth between other departments. And every time we sort of hand off the packet of information, there's a chance for a mistake to get made, or someone types a date wrong, or someone has to go back. So that's kind of my recommendation. I know at least the Board of Selectmen at that time really felt those private functions were a valuable service to the community. Maybe things are changed. Maybe people didn't realize how much use it was going to get, because now, there's been a lot of times where a nonprofit group wants to hold an event in there, and I have to tell them, sorry, it's booked for something else. So the room is certainly getting enough use, and maybe we should open it up, make it a little more available for the nonprofits, and the people that are just doing a party can look elsewhere. So that's one recommendation I'm making. There's some other things in the policy that don't always make a lot of sense. Some of it we don't always enforce. There's been a lot of groups that have gotten certain parts of the policy, waived in terms of like insurance requirements and things like that. And I think they need to decide, okay, either everyone is going to have an insurance policy, or we're going to define which groups don't, instead of making a case-by-case decision on insurance requirements. So those are my two big ones. And then I have some other just little wording things in the policy that, maybe they don't match the policy for the classroom, or, there's a line that says no alcohol, but there isn't one that says no marijuana use, things like that you just need to get tightened up.
Great, thanks.
Anything else on Great Room?
Nope.
All right. Okay, Fulte activity. I do just want to mention the book sale is coming up on Saturday the 16th. So if you're available, come on down. And the quilt raffle is also happening that day. So I know the Friends members are actively selling tickets. The quilt is on display in the community center. So if you know anyone who might want a chance to win a quilt, or would want to support the Friends, you can direct them. We're selling tickets at the desk as well, so you can tell people you can go to the library and buy tickets if you want.
And I have some, and also you folks can get some if you have people that you think you can sell it to. It's a very pretty quilt if you haven't had a chance to stop down and see it. So I did stop the other day, and they showed me what was in the container, and there's some selling, but there's always more to sell. Raise money for the Friends.
All right, and then my last announcement is just a reminder that
can I
I
just
will
add?
be. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Charlotte.
Oh, it's just Fulte. Elisa and I did collect the BVT scholarship applications, and we met and went through them and chose a candidate, which will be kept secret because they don't know, and they don't find out till the May 21st assembly for awards at BVT. We were just so blown away by the quality and the of the essays and the things that they had to submit. It was really hard to choose, but we did come up with one person. So the NIPMUC students, theirs is not due till next week, so we will meet and pick a NIPMUC student after the deadline.
Nice.
And that's that.
Okay. And Matthew, you're going on vacation.
Yes, so I will be gone, essentially school vacation week. So it's April 18th through the 26th. And I'm actually going to be on a cruise ship, so I don't know if I'll be able to get texts. I will check emails a couple times, but anything that needs to be dealt with should be directed to Michaela, and then she can either she'll be the one who decides, hey, this can wait for Matthew to back, or this needs to go to the town manager, or I need to call Dennis because something's broken in the facility. But I thought I would just let you know about that.
Okay.
Matthew, there is a setting on an iPhone, if you have an iPhone, where you can get calls and texts over the internet. Not that I'm saying you should, and certainly we shouldn't be bothering you, but I meant for other issues.
Yeah, so I am going to have internet access, so like iMessage might work, but text messages might not. My last vacation, actually, nobody from staff had to text me, so that was good. I know I've said this a couple times, but I'm so glad I have a staff now that I'm confident I can go away and
Nice to hear.
anything that they would have to refer to me, is probably something that I couldn't. It's going to be a building issue, like the toilet stopped working, and it's just someone has to call facilities. I can't fix it anyway.
That's nice to hear, though.
Yeah, there have been past years where that wasn't true, but
Yeah.
with the current staff, it's they can do a lot
Great.
more without me being there.
Well, have a great time.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
sure.
All right. So I just have a couple of things. The Friends, just to add a couple of things to that. The Friends are going to have a table at the summer reading kickoff. And I think they're really going to try to drum up some interest in joining the group and potentially volunteering or making a donation or something like that. And I think that would be helpful. There's a lot of people that show up for that kickoff, so you've got access to a lot of people. So hopefully they'll be able to make some connections with people interested in joining and helping out. There's an open spot on the board. Don't have to, I think, I don't know, Lori, are there specific titles to their board positions, or is it just a board member? That's what I understood it to be, is just a board member.
So the Fulte governmental structure is a little confusing because there's what that's called the board of directors. And that group are the ones that are appointed by the trustees. Sometimes we'll bring you names and say, these are the board members. So those are the people that are the official directors of the nonprofit corporation. Essentially, they're allowed to expend funds and things like that. Then there's the officers, which are, your president, your vice president, treasurer, secretary. So the officers and the directors don't necessarily have to be the same. In practice, they usually are, because
Right.
we're not overflowing with volunteers. But
Right.
the way Fulte is set up, there could definitely be, an officer who is not a director. Someone who says, "Hey, I'll take notes at the minutes, but I don't want to be officially on
Right.
the governing." So it's kind of like theoretically there could be a sort of an absentee board of directors too, who just said, "Okay, you other group of people, you do all the actual work, and we'll just be the charity board." We've never had enough people to do that, but so
Okay.
what we have, so there needs to be between 3 and 5 directors. So we have to have at least 3 according to the bylaws for the organization to
Okay.
keep going.
Right.
And there can be up to 5. So I think there was 5 and 1 stepping down, so now there may be
Right.
4.
4.
So if
Yeah.
Fulte wants to basically nominate, essentially they can self-select a new director and just kind of present it to the trustees for approval.
Right. So
Is
this
it-
opening
is it
would have to
essentially-
come to the trustees for approval.
Is it
Okay.
essentially that the officers are doing the jobs and the directors are policy, like like trustees, like they do policy? Or is it more accurate to say that all 4 of those officers are the directors, so they're doing both?
In practice, we have always had a lot of overlap between directors and officers because we don't have so many volunteers that we can separate them. But in theory, yes. So the directors, essentially the directors are allowed to spend money and modify the bylaws of the organization, and then the officers do the actual work.
Okay.
Okay. And they are looking for volunteers for the book sale, Friday, late afternoon, early evening, and also mid-Saturday afternoon. So if any of your kids need volunteer hours, or if you want to volunteer, they are looking for people. Their second Reading with Friends event is April 30th. There's 2 in April, for some reason I forget, but after that, I think it's the last Thursday or Wednesday of the month.
Thursday.
What is the 30th? It's a Thursday,
Yeah.
right? So the last
Yeah.
Thursday of the month. And I think they've booked the great room till the end of the summer, and I think they're going to evaluate it over the next couple of months and see. I mean, it appears to be working in other towns, this reading with friends, just silent book club, whatever you want to call it. It appears to be operating in other towns. So I think they're going to try to keep it going and make an evaluation in a couple months to see whether it's viable in Upton.
I heard 6
Deb,
people
do you
came to
know
the
how-
first one, but they're using the great room? Why are they using the great room?
I thought it was the great room where they started, and then they moved wherever they wanted within the library. I think that's what they said.
So
And I
the
think
organizers from the Friends preferred the great room. They felt it would give them a little more privacy, a little more separation from the busyness of the library to start with. Unfortunately, 2 of the first 3 events, they got preempted by a municipal use, so they got bumped to the classroom for the first couple. But their preference is definitely to use the great room, not necessarily because they think they're going to fill it, but because it's they think it's a nicer space to start off on. It's a little more isolated. It doesn't have the noise from the children's area, that kind of stuff.
Okay, and Lauren contacted me with a suggestion of having our June meeting in person, because that meeting will be the first meeting after the election. So we will have a new member and hopefully 2 re-elected members. So put that sort of in your minds for June. We'll try to have a meeting in person
Great idea.
for that meeting. And I was going to thank Joe, but Joe's not here, so we'll thank Joe next month if he's able to attend. And we'll definitely put it in the meeting minutes next month, Charlotte, if he isn't able to join us. But he is our outgoing trustee. And I sent an email to the town manager, I don't know, a month ago maybe, just introducing myself and inviting her to any and all of our meetings, just as a welcome to Upton. So I did do that. I think Matthew suggested that. So I did email her. I didn't get a response, but I'm sure she's overwhelmed with budget and town meeting and all of that. So that is that.
When do we tend to do a staff appreciation day? Seems like we do it every year or so. What are we due for one, or what are we thinking?
I'd have to look back in the records when we did it.
I think we did it with the staff training last year. Was that in the summer?
I think you did. Well, last year we did the staff training in April,
Oh, okay.
which actually
That's
was better. If I had been on top of it, April would have been better, because now I'm looking at June dates, and Leanne just came back to me and said, "Hey, we've got a children's program on every single Monday in June." So, what might be really nice, if maybe we put it in our calendars or something. The summer have been very, very busy, so maybe like the either the week after the summer program ends, or the week school starts, because usually Leanne doesn't hold story times that the week after the summer program ends. So that might be a nice week to just sort of, if you guys do something and say, hey, we made it through the busiest months of the year. Nice job.
Right.
She
Yeah.
doesn't take the
Okay.
week off in exhaustion.
Sometimes we'll have to check. Sometimes she takes that as her vacation week, and sometimes it's just a week with no programs that she can get caught up on stuff.
Right. And that's in August, right?
Yes. It's usually
Okay.
like the 3rd week in August, probably. Sometimes the 2nd
Okay.
week in August.
All right, thanks, Lori. Yeah, we'll talk about that at a future meeting, see if we can get a date.
I just have
Anything
one quick
else?
question.
Yeah.
Oh, gee, okay. The person who's doing the English conversational class, can you tell us her name?
Yes, it's Linda Katz is her name. Not any
Judith.
relation to Judith, I believe,
Judith,
but
right.
Linda Katz.
And do you know her background? Is she a teacher or is it something, I know she's doing Hopkinton, which is great. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I don't know her exact resume. Retired educator of some sort. So she's definitely had a career in education and now is just doing this because she thinks it's a worthwhile way to, spend some of her time. I don't know her exact resume. She did make it clear she's not like a trained, because there's like some ESL train. You can get like a certification to be an ESL
Oh, yeah.
instructor. She doesn't have that, so she's not equipped to work with people who have no English at all. She can't do the non-speaking
Right.
at all. What she focuses on are non-native speakers who have enough skills that they just they could get along. They could understand usually more than they can speak, and just need some help with confidence and vocabulary and pronunciation.
Well, thank her, because she's not getting any pay for this. Is she just volunteering her
No,
time?
Yeah, 100% volunteer.
Yeah.
So I will pass
That's
that on.
awesome.
I know,
Um,
and that's great.
While we were talking about the staff appreciation, it made me think about the fact that I have to do staff reviews pretty soon. So we should put on maybe the next trustee agenda to
Yep.
think about. It feels like we're like constantly doing my review. It feels like by the time we get one done, the next one's coming up.
It's unbelievable.
But it is time, because the town will want that probably before July. I mean,
Yeah,
the world's not going to end if you don't get it until August, but they like to have it by
Right.
July 1st. So if we can discuss the process in
Yeah.
May and then actually do it in June, that would be ideal.
right. Okay, yep, I put it on the calendar for May here. Okay, anything else?
Yeah, also when you guys are deciding on the day for the staff appreciation during the summer, can you guys maybe talk about it would be nice to just make like a giant snack box to have for you guys to have. So maybe take a survey of what you guys like for like packaged snacks, things that are not perishable. Because everyone has different restrictions, so maybe if you can make a list of like 5 or 6 things, and we can make a little snack basket as well.
Yeah, that'll be nice. Thanks.
That would be ongoing snacks. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
A few people that have preferred drink, and in the staff cabinet, we've got, some people have their preferred tea and their preferred K-cups and things. So I can
Right.
get a list.
Yeah,
Okay,
whatever
yeah,
people
that would
like.
be good.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Alicia, that's a good idea. Okay. All right, don't forget to get out and vote for Charlotte and me, please. We don't want to be embarrassed with 10 votes. So make sure you get out there and vote. And we are adjourned at 7:33, Charlotte.